Here's a fully fleshed out cinematic, emotional story crafted for a 1,000-word YouTube narrative with your requested hooks, calls to action, and packing. He was just a janitor, silently pushing his mop down the marble hallways of one of the tallest skyscrapers in the city, carrying the weight of the world in his tired eyes. By day, he cleaned offices nobody noticed. By night, he was a single dad, tucking his little girl into bed with stories of courage he barely felt in himself. Life had never given him a break, yet he moved through it with quiet dignity, wearing worn shoes and a heart full of hope he didn't always acknowledge. But everything changed the day he unknowingly stepped into a storm that would alter both their lives forever. Before the story unfolds, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the extraordinary power of everyday heroes, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Brightly Kindness. Your support helps us tell stories that touch hearts. It was an ordinary Wednesday morning when he noticed a commotion in the elevator lobby. Panic etched across her face. The city's most feared female CEO, the woman whose reputation could make or break entire industries, was cornered by a sudden accident. Her expensive heels caught in the gap, and the elevator doors began to close. Without a second thought, he dropped his mop, sprinted across the floor, and yanked her back to safety. In that split second, he became more than a janitor. He became a lifeline. Most people in the building had always avoided her. Her sharp gaze, ruthless decisions, and icy presence kept even her employees at arm's length. Yet, as he held her trembling hands, their eyes met, and she saw something she hadn't expected: warmth, compassion, and courage without pretense. There was no title, no boardroom, no power play, just a man risking everything for another human being. Word of the incident spread quickly, but the janitor returned to his routine as if nothing extraordinary had happened. He didn't want recognition. He didn't need it. His battles were already hard enough, balancing night shifts with daycare pickups, counting every dollar to make sure his daughter had her school supplies, and finding moments of joy amidst exhaustion. The world rarely noticed him, yet he noticed the little victories, the tiny smiles, the moments of connection that made life meaningful. As days passed, the CEO couldn't stop thinking about the man who had saved her. He didn't look like a hero by conventional standards. He didn't wear suits or carry power. He wore paint-stained clothes, carried a janitor's keys, and smiled with a humility that disarmed her carefully constructed walls. She found herself watching him quietly, noticing how he spoke to the security guard with respect, how he shared a laugh with the cleaning crew, and how he always made time to ask about the young girl who often accompanied him to work. There was a grace in his life that money could never buy. Meanwhile, his own life remained a constant struggle. His daughter had recently started asking why they didn't have what other kids had, and he had no easy answer. Bills piled up, the apartment felt smaller every day, and yet he never let despair define him. Every morning he would tell himself, keep going, do the right thing, love her enough to keep fighting. And it was that unwavering heart that eventually changed everything. The CEO, moved by his selflessness, quietly arranged for him to receive a promotion, not in title but in opportunity. She saw the potential that had been invisible to everyone else, the untapped courage, intelligence, and empathy. She offered him a chance to manage the company's employee welfare program, a role that allowed him to uplift lives the same way he had uplifted hers. At first, he hesitated. How could someone like him belong in a world of board meetings and strategic planning? But she insisted, reminding him that true leadership is measured by heart, not wealth. He accepted not for prestige, but for the chance to create a better life for his daughter. Slowly, the world around him transformed. The other employees who had once overlooked him began to respect his voice. His daughter's eyes sparkled with pride when she saw her father recognized, not for saving someone's life that day, but for who he truly was every day. She hugged him tightly and whispered, "You're my hero, Daddy." And in that moment, every hardship, every sleepless night, every struggle felt worth it. The CEO's life changed too. She learned that power meant little without compassion, that fear was no substitute for trust, and that greatness often walked in the quiet steps of ordinary people. The janitor had reminded her that courage doesn't come from wealth or status, it comes from heart. Together, they bridged two worlds, one of influence and ambition, the other of humility and perseverance, creating a bond that neither had expected but both needed. Months later, when the city's media spotlight turned to the CEO's new initiative for employee empowerment, the janitor stood beside her, not as a servant or background figure, but as a symbol of resilience, hope, and quiet heroism. People saw a man who had been overlooked and underestimated, and realized that every life has the potential to change the course of another. As you watch this story, remember that heroes aren't always the ones on billboards or in movies. Sometimes, they are the single dads, the quiet janitors, the people who move through life with integrity and love, unnoticed but powerful. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Brightly Kindness. Your engagement helps spread the message that compassion can change the world. Before you leave, take a moment to comment below with one act of kindness you've witnessed or performed recently. It might inspire someone today. In the end, he was just a janitor, but he was also a father, a hero, and a man who reminded a ruthless CEO, and the rest of us, that kindness, courage, and heart can redefine destiny. Sometimes it only takes one